So before we get to our wrestler of the week standings, I think we should absolutely talk about something we were gonna try to talk about on Monday, and then we got a little bit too excited and plans didn't work out. All Out this past Sunday night, obviously a pay-per-view that had the attention of the wrestling world and really has kind of shook the wrestling world and kind of flipped things on its side even more than AEW's been doing for a while now. I'll throw it out to you guys. Is there a match? Is there a moment? Is like that you got that anybody wants to talk about first?
I'm trying to do something on my phone. I'm sorry.
Adam Cole, baby.
I don't know why that made me laugh. Sure. Let's start there. Do you want to start there, or Tim? Did you have something different?
No, I have somewhere I want to start.
All right, let's start where Tim wants to start because the end of the show is the end of the show.
Correct. So people are talking about the reaction from a lot of the fans is this is like one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time, right?
I've seen that reaction, yeah.
And what I'm sick of seeing is, have people forgot about WrestleMania 17?
Who would say something like that?
Big Jim.
Or
are you just sick of reading the 3-count Twitter feed?
Or what about Money in the Bank 2011?
To be fair, I did not tweet about Money in the Bank 2011.
Okay.
You thought it though.
I did not. My point is, if you're the person who's like, what about the pay-per-view like 25 years ago that had The Rock and Stone Cold on it? How about that one? Come on, man. You sound like the old dude who's like, football's not the same because they don't run the ball anymore.
That's malarkey.
Football's not football. They throw the ball too much. There's no defense. They can't even check.
Don't be rude.
They can't even check the receivers. No. Instead of trying to compare, like, all people are saying is this is a really great show. And it should be listed on, like, great. What can you name me a pay-per-view in the last 5 years that touches it? You couldn't even tell me a pay-per-view that happened last year, top to bottom, that was exciting. Last year, 2020. That's not even fair.
I was going to say, you mean the year that had no fans in the crowd?
Yep. 2019.
I mean, I couldn't tell you what good food I had to eat 3 days ago. What, like,
I mean, I think the nearest comparison, and again, it's partial to me because there was WrestleMania 35, I think has been the best WWE show that we've seen in the past, I don't know, since then.
Okay. So was that 2019 or 2018?
2019.
That was 2019. Okay.
That was the last WrestleMania.
Last year was empty, and this year was halfway full. Half empty.
Twice. Half full twice.
But like that's their WrestleMania, so I don't think I think All Out was better than that.
It is tough to say because some could say that All Out is AEW's WrestleMania.
I think it is
WrestleMania. Like, WWE's had a 30-plus year head start. Of course,
right.
WrestleMania 35 is going to
Impact's
be like,
what Slammiversary is their big show.
I say that All Out is AEW's WrestleMania, but I like put that in quote. Like I don't even necessarily compare it to WrestleMania. It's their biggest show of the year. It's their, like, I don't know if I even want to say, because like WrestleMania and the Raw after Mania, we always consider that like WWE's New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Like, I don't even know if that's necessarily the case right now with AEW. I just think it's their biggest show of the year because, like, you know, I know that All In wasn't technically an AEW show, but it's kind of the thing that like jump started. You know, it was kind of the thing that like jump started the quote unquote AEW movement. So like All Out is their biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Speaking of that, Jim, and we often talk about like moments that changes the trajectory of professional wrestling and like big moments in wrestling. Are we going to look back at that one tweet that said, do you think Ring of Honor could sell out this size stadium as the catalyst that started everything with AEW and ultimately could change the landscape of pro wrestling?
Possibly.
Like, was it that tweet that really got everything in motion?
When it boils down to it, absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
that was, I don't. Meltzer didn't say it. I don't
No,
think somebody
it wa-
asked Meltzer that.
I think what's the exact
Meltzer was involved with it somehow, but it's really that's the moment I think that set everything in motion for where we're at today.
Mike had said Mania 30 was pretty damn good. I agree. But go back and look at Mania 30. I don't think Mania 30
Mania 30 had the big moments, but it overall wasn't a great pay-per-view.
First off, it was only like 9 matches.
And in the Silver Dome, brother.
But like
Yeah,
the
I
opening
see
match
it.
was
Silver
good.
Dome.
The Lesnar moment was big, but that match was awful.
Straight Duke.
The main event was really good, and of course you had the payoff. But as a show, and like I don't think that the show was really that good at all.
I think 31 was better than 30.
31 was a
31
better
was
pay per view. Whether it had
That was play.
it had a big ending as well too. Yes, Tim.
So the tweet came from a guy at the WWE guy _ who
Jim's
asked
burner
Dave-
account.
Yep, who asked Dave
That was
Meltzer
coming. I
if Ring of
knew it.
Honor. He asked if Ring of Honor could sell out an arena with 10,000 seats, something like Madison Square Garden, and Meltzer responded, "Not anytime soon."
Okay.
But then, according to CM Punk during the media scrum, they sold out the United Center on a rumor.
Not
Yeah,
wrong.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's you can't really argue. You can't really argue with that. I mean, it was
Right.
it was a heavily winked rumor.
But
Like-
still a rumor. Like,
I mean, yes, it's still a rumor, but
Did
like,
AEW really wink that much, or did we just read into everything?
Probably a little of both.
yeah, I was gonna say I think they probably winked more at Daniel or Brian Daniel. I'm gonna unintentionally say Daniel Bryan for
just
a
call
while.
him by his real name.
Okay, JR.
Yeah, no problem
Also, if
saying
anybody's
Phil for so
interested,
long.
if anybody's interested, I will have a you know, like when the
Ruby Riot, her.
when like Cleveland fans burn the LeBron jerseys, I'm gonna have one of those in my backyard for Daniel Bryan t-shirts this week. No, I'm kidding. But let's see here. Catching up with some comments. Devin agrees with Ryan, who's complaining about the event was too damn long.
35, WrestleMania 35
Yeah.
was too long, or All Out 21?
I think he was referring to WrestleMania 35.
35. I think it went past midnight.
Yeah, 35 was
Eastern.
long.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
was like
Which again,
WrestleMania.
I'm fine with that. It's WrestleMania. I'd rather it be on one night and be long.
Mike says AEW sometimes feel like PWG on steroids.
Because it is.
Yes, it is.
That's a fair.
Lou says, "Evening, boys. Welcome back, Lou. Haven't talked to you in a while.
Oh, I'm live on YouTube. We're live on
He's-
YouTube.
He's on the YouTubes. Yeah, we are live on Twitter, Facebook, and the YouTubes.
And
at that.
Periscope.
And yeah, that's
That's
Twitter.
the Twitters, right?
Yeah, it's the.
They don't call
kind
it
of-
Periscope anymore, do they?
I mean, it's technically
It's
that's what the
technically
Twitter
still
Live
Twitter.
is a Periscope.
Is it?
You're on Periscope.
Down
Mike says
Periscope.
31 kind of sucked because the
I know.
Undertaker entrance was in sunlight and it was hot in San Fran that day.
That's not
I mean,
wrong.
Yeah,
I
that's-
believe it.
I believe that.
Yeah.
There was a
That's true.
tank, though.
There was a tank.
That Rusev may or may not have banged Lana in.
He did.
He did.
He did.
He
Were
did.
you there?
I mean,
Also, Bray
Did you see
Wyatt.
him nut the wall?
he's he's got a super flexible wife, so
Thank God.
thank God. No, and look, like I sent that tweet more in like I wasn't being serious. Like this show was fantastic. Oh, shut up.
Jim, I watched the show with you.
Yes.
As I was putting my shoes on, I heard you mumbling, "Not as good as 17." I'm just,
Shit, you heard that?
I'm just saying.
I didn't think your hearing was that good. My bad. No, like I don't know if it's an all-time, like if it's a Mount Rushmore pay-per-view or best ever. I don't. It was a fantastic pay-per-view. It was a great. It was the best pay-per-view in a long time.
It was AEW's best pay-per-view?
Well, easily AEW's best pay-per-view.
Yeah, okay. We can all agree with that, right?
Yeah.
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 But yeah, no, it was fantastic. Well,
I feel like a lot of the matches we're going to talk about when we do Wrestler of the Week anyway, because a lot of our Wrestlers of the Week were involved with said pay-per-view. So, I mean, I think it's fair to discuss the moments, like Mark had said.
Yeah, so, I mean...
I think the moments are what we're going to look back on and remember. It was the Daniel Bryan yes moment that everybody thinks of 30. It was, the big surprise return that everybody remembers. So I think the moments are really what sets this pay-per-view apart. And to foreshadow, really puts WWE at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, and when often I've talked about pro wrestling, I've often said moments, to me anyway, are greater than matches. Now there are great matches that I always hold on a pedestal, but the moments are the things I think we remember most. And this show, it is the moments to me that made it an A+ or the best pay-per-view in what. And as I'm not taking away from most of the matches, because I think most of the matches were really good as well. There were some that weren't, but it's these moments. Adam Cole, because we got to the end and the Elite's in there and Kenny Omega's, nobody alive or dead is better than me, or whatever he said, and we all thought that this is when Bryan Danielson comes out. And instead, we got Adam Cole, baby. And he joins his friends in the Elite. Yes, Tim.
Now, did anyone get the reference?
That he died in, he was said alive or dead. He died in being the Elite.
Yes.
Yes.
So, as soon as they said dead, my eyes were, I was like, they're going to bait and switch. This is Cole.
Mike got it as well.
Yeah,
but then once we got Cole, I thought, oh, this is badass. They got Cole. We're doing Bryan Danielson up in New York.
It's
so
easier.
To get them both was a mind blow to me.
Right.
Yes. I didn't think
that was the real. It was going to be one or the other. I still thought Cole had a shot of going back to the WWE before we found out about the manager bullshit. But you're going to get one or the other. But to get them both was, I think, the big surprise of the weekend.
I mean, I think Cole showing up on Sunday was I think you and I both, Ryan, were like, well, holy shit. We were just kind of waiting for Bryan Danielson and we got Cole and then Bryan.
I mean, it's nuts for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think the assumption was that we would eventually get Cole in AEW, but I didn't think anyone, I won't say anyone, but it wasn't the one everyone was expecting because of how soon it was.
Yeah. I mean, he was on NXT a couple of weeks. I mean, less than a month ago. So the
guy looks like a star. He's going to fit in AEW very well. tailor made for AEW.
Right. I mean, he fits in AEW better than he would have fit on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
As a wrestler, yes.
Yeah. I like what I have been fine with Adam Cole, the sports entertainer, the pro wrestler acting as a sports entertainer on Raw or SmackDown. Yes.
But he looks really tiny next to like Damian Priest. Very small.
Right.
The Miz he'd be fine with. Damian Priest.
Right. Next to, Lashley.
Next to Pat McAfee.
Like there's a lot of big guys in the WWE.
Pat
More
McAfee,
so than AEW.
who, by the way, sent out the second best tweet of the week,
Yes, he did.
saying something along the lines of, "I would have left too instead of facing
It
you
was the
again."
diff with his face on Adam Cole's body. Yeah. It was
The number one tweet belonging to Lana, CJ Perry,
correct.
saying something along the lines of, "When you come home, I'll redeem your nuts."
Yes.
To Miro, yes, the two tweets of the week.
And I'll just take over. I will wear Miro as a skin suit if I have to.
Gross.
Ew.
Body snatch him,
But I get it.
heal him.
Whatever we do, what you got to do.
The thing is too, and AEW does this really well. Look back to the last 4 big debuts for AEW. Punk, American Dragon, Adam Cole Bebe, and Ruby Soho. Each debut is connected to a young future star that has not been made yet. Punk immediately goes after Darby Allin.
Mm-hmm.
Both Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson connect to
The young up and comer Kenny Omega.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Her.
And then Ruby Soho is elevating Thunder Rosa, who she's a big deal, but she's not mainstream.
Okay.
And Britt Baker, who is still on the rise, even though she's at the top.
And still a dentist, too.
Still a dentist.
Rising action here.
People
And then
forget
even
that.
so, if you go back to Dynamite, Ruby is connected to Chris Statlander and Riho.
Yep.
So AEW is connecting these big stars to young, up-and-coming, not known talents. And I'm curious who you disagree with of the
Because
who's
Mike
the
says he agrees with
25%?
75%.
It's probably that Britt Baker's a dentist. He probably doesn't know that yet.
Probably.
He probably only thinks she's a wrestler.
He needs to pay attention to commentary.
She's graduated dental school.
No, I think that is a great point, Tim. And I mean, even this past Wednesday, I mean, Punk's next feud or a feud in the Chamber is with Team Taz. So, like, I mean, I didn't anticipate that.
Taz.
Well,
I think that's a great point. And again, I think
as long as
we're
he's not, wrestling Russ Vitale's older twin. I think,
hey, yo.
I think he'll be fine.
I feel like we're going to bounce all over a lot of our topics here, but I think that's WWE's problem. It doesn't make sense to bring a Goldberg back and have him feuding with just anybody. Like, Goldberg comes back to feud for the main picture and the main championship, and that's WWE's recipe. And it's tried and true, and it has worked for them for years. And I think people are just tired of seeing that. Goldberg comes in, wrestles the top guy, leaves. Brock Lesnar's going to do the same thing. Brock Lesnar's not coming back to put over Hook from AEW. I mean, I'm trying to think who the Hook equivalent is in AEW right now. In the W, I just, you know what I mean? Brock's not coming back to put over John Morrison,
or Dominic,
who is
Mysterio.
clearly
Dominic
an
Mysterio.
up and comer.
I was thinking Dominic. Yeah.
To me,
Right.
Hook and Dom are the same.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good one.
I mean,
What about
that
Gage
begs the
Goldberg?
question: are there young up and comers in WWE right now?
I mean, there's some new faces, but I wouldn't say they're necessarily young. Like Damian Priest is a new WWE superstar. Riddle, who apparently we learned is in his 30s. Like, I thought he was more on the young side, and he's older than I thought. But like there's some new faces, but I currently I don't think there's any real young stars, so to speak, in WWE, and I think that is part of the reason why this shift is happening in with NXT and the Performance Center is going back to a different formula of building new superstars. Because when you're doing your best to just bring in all the big indie names that in some cases have been wrestling for over a decade, by the time they get into NXT and learn the WWE system, and then are in NXT by the time they get to the main roster, they're not young, so to speak, anymore. So I think that's where we see this shift with them. But yeah, you're right, there isn't really a WWE equivalent. Mike here says Ruby to him is the exception. He says, I just think anyone who's a fan. Britt is their number one. Thunder Rosa has been her biggest rival. They have been the best part of the women's division. Riho is a former champion. Only woman she's really going to help elevate is Chris Statlander.
And I don't necessarily agree with that, because even though Riho was the first world champion for the women, no one knows who Riho is.
Right. Unless you're an AEW fan.
Or you're a Japanese women's wrestling fan. Like, it's not so much elevation as it is connecting a set of eyes, or connecting a person who everyone has seen be on the big stage, who is made to be a big deal, and connecting them to people immediately as peers. Connecting to a Riho, to a Chris Statlander, to Thunder Rosa, and to Britt Baker, and in turn connect to Rebel and Jamie Hayter.
Reba?
Not Reba.
Thank you for that.
Reba. I think that it's not on the same level as Bryan Danielson or Adam Cole or CM Punk, but to say that, like, I mean, Ruby is really young. Like, Ruby,
she's going
Right
to
side of 30.
probably. I mean, she's going to elevate that division.
I bet she's like 35. I
But
think
she's
she
going
was
to
that
elevate
young.
that division, period, because of
She is 30.
Yep,
Oops,
On
sorry, Ruby.
91.
That's my bad.
So she's 30, which in different times, in different eras, 30 is very old for a women's wrestler.
right.
But
But not
now
so much
30
anymore.
is the right side of 30.
30 is the right side of 30. Yes.
30 is the right side of 30. Yes.
What segment are we at, just so I know?
The first.
Still the first one.
Are we talking about why AEW is succeeding? Or are we still recapping the pay-per-view?
we're
Or
talking
is it
about
all
All
bled
Out.
together?
Well,
We're just-
They merge.
It's all encompassing.
yeah, I feel like this episode is just like one long episode that I'm going to attempt to break up into segments later.
Jim will
I don't
squeeze
want
the
you to do that.
WWE stuff in here and there just to make sure that it gets discussed, but it's basically an AEW episode.
Right. Remember that time they brought the zombies?
No, I don't. What
That got a 0. Jim, did
zombie?
any matches get a 0 on this AEW card?
They did not. They
I'll
did
be
not.
damned.
There was
What
a
did you
couple.
grade the Big Show match out of curiosity?
That was a D, I believe.
Okay. I mean, it was short.
Yeah,
They
it was a
got it
D.
over with quickly.
That was a D. Jericho MJF was a D plus.
Really?
Yeah. Everything else.
I thought their labor match, Labor 5, was better than their pay-per-view match.
Yeah, this one felt labored.
That's fair. That's
This one
fair.
felt
There
labored.
was really only 2 bad, or not even bad, but like 2 down matches on the
It was-
pay-per-view.
It was those two.
Yeah.
I mean, the battle royal was a battle royal. You got a great debut and she got the win, got the big win. The Moxley Kojima match. I mean, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't a bad match. It's not for me. Like match grade wise, I think I had the show at like a B plus or a B, but like with the moments, it's an A plus. Like, and that's where because I think there was one of the WWE pay-per-views this summer. I was like, match wise, it was here, but like moment, it felt here. So like that's where just if I just go off the match grade, that's where I meant. Moments made this greater. And that is 100% accurate to me.
What did you grade the Punk match?
Let me find it.
I don't think that was a great match. I thought
I had a B minus.
I thought it was well paced and what it should have been.
Yeah.
You didn't want to rush and fuck something up, but
Yeah.
I think that match was more of a moment than it was a match.
Yeah, it was the match itself. I had it a B minus. Not horrible, but it wasn't
I felt
anything.
I felt like I
Yes,
saw
Mark?
that match before somewhere. I felt like I
You at least saw parts of it. You at least saw parts of it.
Bret Hart doing the coffin drop in the
That's
corner.
What has 16 and 16 legs?
I
Oh no.
think I know.
The night shift at the night and day diner. That's
Uh,
coming from Charlie.
I know you ain't talking about BBJ.
No, she's probably not working tonight.
I was gonna
Is Judy
say,
there? You got to ask
She's
around.
just
Ask for
been
Judy.
That's for Judy. She's got 32 teeth.
So
Big old
what
Daisy.
did you have?
apron. She's got a big apron for tips.
What did you have?
Is that tips with a P?
Yeah, it was tips. Judy's got that. She's a big apron to carry. her
Mark
big
or
tips.
Tim, keep asking your question.
What did you have the tag team title match at?
Mark, what's your favorite part about her apron? Let's get him going on the apron. Can you describe the apron
Right,
for me?
Probably. Well, it's got the pockets in the front. Then you take those strings, you tie them in the back of that nice little bow. And that little loop goes around the neck.
We'll just let him go.
Is this payback for the draws joke last week?
No.
Like
Payback would be me saying Shane McMahon.
The best in the world. Shane McMahon.
I just did my 2022 taxes.
Tim, were you talking about the steel cage match?
Yes.
The tag team? Where the Young Bucks lost?
Yeah.
That was an A plus.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
That's on my
You're
match.
talking about the steel cage match at GCW that was really just Hell in a Cell? Or I'm sorry, really just
Nope,
War
you already
Games?
blew it.
I
You already
fucked it
blew the
up.
joke.
Fuck me, don't even do
He
it.
doesn't get it.
Don't even
No,
do it.
no.
Turn it off. I don't want to hear it. I fucked myself. I
Yeah.
fucked myself. Stop! Ryan screwed Ryan. God damn it.
How did you mess that up?
I
bud?
fucking had it on a silver tray.
You sure did.
Yeah.
Silver tray. Is
God damn it. A beautiful silver tray. Had doilies on it. Fucking dropped it.
You mucked it all up.
Damn it.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah, that's on my match of the year list. absolutely. That might be my match of the year. When it's all said and done,
It's the match of the year so far. I think.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of one better. Off the top of my head, let's check in on Mark. Let's see how Mark's doing.
So I said, I don't want jelly. I'd like to have Palmer's all fruit. So BBJ went back and found some back there. There's the orange label.
Good. And I mean this. I was talking to EJ after the pay-per-view on Take 3 Wrestling, and I should say from, not on, but no, he and I were just texting after the show, and he was like, Adam Cole's the biggest the biggest acquisition of the night, or the biggest debut of the month, or whatever. And I said, in the long run, I agree. I mean, in the long run, out of Punk, Bryan, and Adam Cole, Bebe, Cole has like the bigger upside, the longer career. But I think that Daniel Bryan, at least right now, feels like the bigger hit to WWE to me.
I think where that hit comes from is the fact that, so comparing all four together, Ruby mentioned that she, like, where she is right now is the pinnacle of her wrestling career.
Mm-hmm.
And that Adam Cole is here. He in his stance is it comes from a place of like, not bitterness, but there's like definitely want to stick it to WWE.
Oh, is Mark looks like he's tuckering out.
Oh, Mark, how we doing?
He just uncorked a big ass yawn.
I was just thinking about when I told BBJ that I got my peaches down in Georgia. So good, such sweet peaches.
Good. That's a good story, Mark.
Told me they were from.
I'm glad you told.
The vendor at Roots said they came directly from Georgia. So why would I wouldn't. I have no reason to not believe.
You should.
What a
You
Roots
should.
country market vendor tells me. So,
Mark, how many concerts did you go to this past week?
Brian, why do you keep doing this?
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Just answer this.
Well,
This is a serious
I'm
question.
glad you asked.
No,
Did you
I'm not
know that
asking. I'm not
Black
asking
Bears
details.
from
How
LA?
many concerts did you go to?
Oh, there was it was Made in America.
Number.
It was in Philly.
Pick a number.
Oh, just the number. You're talking concert, not artist. So
Concerts.
one.
There's
How
There-
many wrestling shows did you watch this past week?
From start to finish.
You crust the tip. Measure it in pizza slices for me.
None.
At least he's honest, man. That's all we can ask for.
I have to come here
Not
live
from
like
start
I
to
watched a
finish.
ton of wrestling.
Now,
Did you
I
spend
did-
more
I-
hours
I-
at a concert or more hours watching wrestling?
He's an intern. How do we expect?
Oh,
Why are we expecting
Yeah.
him to have such a high standard?
I'm not.
I'm
more-
not.
There was more hours at the concert. At the concert for sure.
You want to go to
I really
Hostage
wish I
this
could have
weekend?
taken my super
Brian,
box to
what
the
is
concert.
wrong with you?
Man,
So the
I'll tell
point
you,
I'm
Hawkins
trying
is
to
where your
make-
family
Mark,
wants to
Mark,
eat.
let's
I wouldn't mind going. I'd like to give the one in Hummelstown another try.
good. Report on that on the Patreon. Tim, you were trying to say.
Bryan Danielson, his point was, I love the WWE, and yet I still left. It doesn't come from a place of sour grapes. It doesn't come from a place of they screwed me. It doesn't come from a place where I was sick, that I couldn't get better, that I didn't get to do pro wrestling. It's like, I love the WWE. And in spite of how much I loved my time there, I'm still choosing to leave because everyone is saying how great this place is, and I want to see it firsthand.
Mhm.
And that's gonna do more than an Adam Cole or a CM Punk or anyone else.
I mean, Cole said something. I mean, along the lines of this. It wasn't really anything. There wasn't any like negative feeling towards WWE, but he knew the environment. He knew the environment
In the scrum or on the mic?
in the scrum.
The scrum
Yeah.
was very much like the Twitch meant a lot to me, right? Like that
Sure.
was his,
Right.
and I just didn't want to give that up because I feel like I was really touching people, which and really is what pro wrestling should be about.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the Twitch. I mean, we've talked about that. It's such a weird hard stance that the WWE is taking for whatever reason. I mean, but my point to why I feel like Daniel Bryan, at least right now, and I mean that does play into it. But I mean, you're looking at the guy who's the biggest moment or whatever of like the network era since the network launch, when you're watching more pay-per-views than you used to, generally speaking. The Yes Movement and Daniel Bryan at the end of WrestleMania 30 to me is arguably the best moment of the last 7.5 years of WWE. There's been other great moments, but to me, that whole that time from that SummerSlam to that WrestleMania and the crowning moment of that, I think is tops. So that guy, and a guy who was literally just in the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania, 6 months ago? Hadn't been seen since. And the next time you see him in a wrestling company, he's over there? That's... and that doesn't take anything away from Adam Cole. That doesn't take anything away from NXT. But NXT TakeOver isn't WrestleMania. Like, you can main event every TakeOver. It's not the main event of WrestleMania. Like, that to me is bigger. To me, that is something bigger right now. Now, like I said, Cole may very well likely go on to have a bigger career in AEW in terms of titles, things like that. But right now, to me, that's the one that hurts WWE more.
I think Adam Cole is the cooler one right now. The boom. He can bring his entire shtick, the Adam Cole baby, right on over to AEW. But Jim, I think to your point, on Monday, I believe it was during the Charlotte match, maybe Charlotte was talking, the WWE crowd broke into a yes chant, and now all of a sudden that's the AEW guy's gimmick.
Right.
That's now no longer a WWE thing. That is Bryan Danielson in AEW and his shtick.
Yeah.
That now no longer, will continue to happen. No different if Austin left and the what's.
Sure.
But every time you hear that, yes, 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 somewhere in the back of your head, you're going to go, AEW.
Yeah. Mike says Cole leaving also sucks because he was such an awesome party of up, down, down with Wood, Cesaro, and Tyler Breeze. Yeah. I mean, it's...
That's the part that I hate the most about it.
And up, down, down is a WWE thing, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the chances that forbidden door could be swung open? And I hate saying that, but we saw Jericho on Austin's thing. Is there not a reason that still couldn't happen occasionally?
There isn't.
If the WWE gets out of their own way.
Exactly.
I was going to say, Vince would have to sell the company or die, I think. I think Vince's pettiness holds that back from happening.
Is it even Vince? Like, is it Vince? Is it the other Khan? Like, what? Like, is that a business decision that Vince is even making right now?
Do you think it's more who then?
It's
more on Don.
Dr. Khan from Salute Your Shorts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously could be Vince. I mean, Vince is Vince. Let's.
When are we bringing in this Mick Foley thing? Because that plays into everything that we're talking about, and then some. Is that
We'll get to because we're coming up near the break. So let's do like this part of it. We'll hit the break, and then we'll get into like AEW's rise or whatever. And once we get through Wrestler of the Week, all right, but I threw out because I almost forgot to do one. Was the question of the week.
The 3 count question of the week.
But what was your favorite match from this past Sunday? AEW All Out. Mine fairly easily. It's the A+. It's the match of the year. It is the Lucha Bros defeating the Young Schmucks in the steel cage, new tag champion. Anybody want to go next?
my favorite match is with Alicia Fox?
Mine was the same. The tag match.
Yeah, absolutely the tag match.
Yes.
Same.
What's your favorite match?
My favorite match was with Melina and Alicia Fox.
Who?
I would have to say my favorite match was the opener of Miro and Eddie Kingston. Man, what a great story. Such a great match. Not going to be remembered for how good it was because of everything else that came across with that event.
Sure. Intern Mark, how about you?
Tag match with the Young Does and the Lucha Boys. They were in that solid or solid steel cage.
Salad.
15
Salad.
feet high. Solid steel. Romaine lettuce was everywhere.
Devin says Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks in the solid. He says solid steel.
It was good.
I'm pretty sure it was
It was
salad.
solid steel.
Salad.
Definitely
Salad.
salad. It's all right, Devin. It's all right. We won't hold it against you, bud.
There were no mistakes.